Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Abosede Omowi. In our major news tonight, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari promises to uphold tenets of democracy and good governance as ECOWAS summit opens in Abuja. Also in this program, Appeal Court upholds Rivers Governorship Election Tribunal judgment, sacks Nyesom Wike and orders a rerun. Still to come, embattled Masob leader Nnamdi Kanu discharged and acquitted by an Abuja magistrate court. And from outside Nigeria, Syrian opposition says there will be no peace in Syria unless Bashar al-Assad steps down as president. Thanks so much for joining us. Now to details of the news. The 48th session of the ECOWAS Heads of State and Government has opened in Abuja, with President Muhammadu Buhari reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to democracy and good governance in the West African sub-region. He calls for a concerted effort to end insecurity challenges and poverty in the sub-region. State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole has more from the opening ceremony.
The 48th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government coincided with the 40th anniversary of the regional body. It was a convergence of leaders of the 15 member states in Abuja. In his opening address, President Buhari reiterated the position of Nigeria on good governance in West Africa. He also called for a joint effort against climate change, eradication of poverty, among other challenges confronting the region.
In spite of the significant achievements, our community still faces numerous challenges. While some militate against the integration drive, others continue to pose risks to peace and security, as well as political stability in the region. There are also structural and administrative challenges in running the Commission that equally require serious attention.
For his part, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon advised ECOWAS to adopt a new strategy in the fight against terrorism. He was represented by Mohammed Ibn Chambers.
The UN acknowledges the important strides achieved in the fight against Boko Haram and is delighted to see the countries of West Africa and Central Africa coming together to operationalize the multinational joint task force that is the countries of the LCEC.
The two-day summit later went into a closed door.
Deliberations at the 48th ordinary session of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of Government has been centered around anti-corruption, how to tackle terrorism and economic challenges confronting the sub-region. From the venue of the ECOWAS ordinary session, I'm Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Abuja.
President Michel Kafando of Burkina Faso has invited President Muhammadu Buhari to a swearing-in ceremony slated for December the 29th. He disclosed this while addressing the press after a brief closed-door meeting with President Buhari at the presidential villa. Nigeria is the first country President Kafando will be visiting after his election.
Also invite him to come personally in Burkina, because in 29th of December we'll organize the investiture of the new elected president. So, and also I congratulate President for his new mandate.
Appreciate what role Nigeria plays in the elections, transition and elections, and we congratulate him personally for conducting free, fair and credible election. That's why I accepted the invitation to go over the inauguration on the 29th instant.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has upheld the annulment of the election of Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and ordered for a fresh election. A 5-member panel led by Justice Dongban Mensen endorsed the decision of the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which on October the 24th nullified the election on the grounds that it was marred by electoral irregularities. The appellate court struck out all 26 grounds of appeals filed by Governor Wike for lack of merit. Judiciary correspondent Basil Okafor has more in this report presented from our studios.
Governor Wike had approached the appellate court in the aftermath of the tribunal's decisions to annul his election. His argument was that the tribunal erred by relying on hearsays and inadmissible evidence to nullify his election. The governor also contended that the tribunal lacked the jurisdiction to entertain the petition filed by the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Dakuku Peterside. But in its judgment, the panel led by Justice Dongban Mensen held that Wike was not validly elected because it failed to comply with the provisions of the electoral guidelines.
I believe that everybody in Rivers State is happy with the judgment because it confirmed that what happened in Rivers State on the April 11th was a farce, it was a charade, and it was no election.
The appeal court also struck out appeals filed by the People's Democratic Party and Independent National Electoral Commission for lack of merit. Supporters of Dakuku Peterside who came to hear the judgments say they were vindicated.
This country for having the appellate court, which has stood firm to affirm the decision of the election tribunal. This has vindicated our stand that in Rivers State there was no election. Now our people have the opportunity to vote for the governor that they want to select for themselves.
Wike's lawyers, however, confirmed that they would advise their clients on the next line of action. They say the judgments will have to be tested at the Supreme Court.
We will obtain copies of this judgment in due course, study them, and give our clients informed advice. But clearly, I can assure you, we would like to have a second opinion by the Supreme Court on the various legal issues raised and thrown up by the nature of this petition. That's my comment for now.
With the Supreme Court as the terminal point for governorship election petitions, the last may not have been heard of this case.
Now, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, is heading to the Supreme Court to challenge the annulment of his election by the appeal court panel presided over by Justice Dongban Mensen. Wike, in a statement issued by his special assistant on electronic media, Simeon Nwakaudu, stated that he disagrees with the judgment, hence his decision to exhaust his constitutional rights by challenging the appeal court judgment at the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Governor Wike has assured the people of Rivers State that his administration would continue to promote the security of lives and property and continue all ongoing development projects. Abuja Magistrate Court has struck out a one-count criminal charge filed by the federal government against pro-Biafra activist Nnamdi Kanu. This is to enable the authorities prosecute the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra at a federal high court in Abuja. Chief Magistrate Shuaibu Usman struck out the case following a motion filed and argued by prosecuting counsel Moses Idako. Usman's ruling is in line with the request by the Department of State Service to pursue Kanu's trial at a higher court, which has the jurisdiction on terrorism. The DSS had argued that the magistrate court lacks the jurisdiction, having obtained a court order to detain him for 90 days based on terrorism charges. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court will on Thursday deliver a ruling on bail application filed by Kanu to enforce his freedom and fundamental human right. An Abuja High Court has reserved ruling in the bail application brought by former Sokoto State Governor Attahiru Bafarawa and 5 others till Monday, December the 21st. The other accused persons include former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki, former Minister of State for Finance Bashir Yuguda, Bafarawa's son Sagar. The case, which was brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, is on the alleged diversion of 4.633 billion meant for the procurement of arms for counter-insurgency campaign in the Northeast. Kazim Kasali has more on the bail hearing. We'll bring you details of that in our subsequent bulletins. And meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is to create a procurement fraud unit, PFU. This is with a view to strengthening the anti-graft agency's effort at fighting corruption in the public service. Acting EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Magu disclosed this while playing host to a coalition of civil society organizations at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. The anti-graft Caesar, who vowed to tackle all shades of corruption headlong, solicited support and collaboration of all stakeholders. Earlier, Lanre Suraju, Chairman, Civil Society Network Against Corruption, CISNAC, said the activists were at EFCC to intimate him on areas they could partner with the Commission in fighting corruption. Suraju, who described Magu as a courageous and incorruptible officer, assured him that the organization was prepared to support the Commission in its task of tackling corruption in the country. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has challenged the Nigerian Labour Congress to provide leadership for ordinary Nigerians in the task of recovering 1.5 trillion naira allegedly looted by former governors. He threw the challenge at the 10th anniversary commemoration of the death of a pro-democracy activist, Chima Ubani, in Abuja. The NLC, for its part, has vowed to resist plans to remove fuel subsidy. The Senate has approved the medium-term expenditure framework for 2016, 2017, and 2018. This follows the presentation of a report by the Joint Committee on Finance, National Planning, and Appropriation. In the report, the committee wants the federal government to peg the 2016 budget proposal on crude oil price of $38 per barrel and a daily production output of 2.2 million barrels. Basi Aye now reports.
Barely 1 week after the MTEF and fiscal policy paper were brought before the Senate, lawmakers gave the document a unanimous approval. In presenting the report for consideration, Committee Chairman John Eno laid emphasis on the need for the executive to streamline personnel costs and maintain a low debt profile.
As long as concrete and sustainable measures are not taken to address the leakages, the shortfall associated with our annual budget will continue. In view of the above, the Joint Committee considered the executive proposals of 2.2 million barrels, 2.347 million barrels, and 2.469 million barrels for 2016, 2017, and 2018 respectively as reasonable. However, adequate measures should seriously be taken to address all leakages.
The lawmakers also want strict compliance with other provisions of the MTEF.
Government should live up to our own expectation in paying the cash calls. Although the amount involved is so much high, but if you allow the oil companies to go out and borrow this money where the interest rate is not even determined by government. It's determined by these oil companies that go out to borrow. It does not tell well of the economy.
We have all decided to face the challenges of this time. The challenge that we don't control how much petrol sells for, and therefore, as much as we would like to set different benchmarks and have bloated budgets, the truth is it is better to have a realistic budget that will be implemented.
Despite the pressure of time, I think what they've done again has shown the commitment of our colleagues. The MTEF has presented here, I think the message is really to appeal to a lot of us, to appeal to Nigerians that we are going through very challenging times, because as we all observe, unfortunately, we are still a monoproduct economy with a product that we do not control the price. But despite the fact, I think what we are saying here is that we must continue to increase our independent revenue. We must make effort to increasing our tax revenue. And in that area, the oversight committees have a lot of work to do in that area.
But as serious as the matter was, some opposition senators could not resist taking a swipe at the ruling party.
During the campaigns leading to the elections, the current party in power had told the country that the exchange rate will be 1 naira to $1. I want to just point at the fact that we're now taking 197 to the dollar for the 2016 budget. It's just my observation, Mr. President.
The central bank should be advised on the need to initiate measures that will close the gap between the parallel market and the official exchange rate. Mr. President, this recommendation is short of small conclusion from the chairman of the Finance Committee. I think it should have included advise those that we now see took all the dollars. In demand and supply is responsible for pricing. They took all the dollars, hide it, and the price goes up. So please ask your people to release the dollars.
And just before plenary was adjourned, a letter indicating President Muhammadu Buhari's readiness to present the 2016 appropriation bill was read
Mr. President,
by Senate President Bukola Saraki. The budget estimates are to be presented to a joint sitting of the National Assembly on Tuesday next week. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
We now go on a commercial break. When we return, more reports will be coming your way on CoreTV Primetime News. Do stay with us.
Whenever you recharge your Airtel line, you could win a trip to Dubai for yourself and your family members or closest pals. Win one of 60 trips for 4 to Dubai in the Airtel Red Hot promo. Now that's a treat for 240 people. You could also be one of the 60 instant millionaires. Win smartphones and airtime. Everyone is a winner. Keep recharging to win in the Airtel Red Hot promo with Emirates Holidays.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to our husband that you should keep promise about what you said, because people are watching you. You know, another election is coming.
Because some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man. You don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
So glad to have you back. This is still CoreTV Primetime News. Now, the main story we're considering tonight. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari promises to uphold tenets of democracy and good governance as ECOWAS summit opens in Abuja. Also in this program, Appeal Court upholds Rivers Governorship Election Tribunal judgment, sacks Nyesom Wike, and orders are rerun. Still to come, embattled Masob leader Nnamdi Kanu discharged and acquitted by an Abuja magistrate court. Now, for more on the news and other stories, you can check our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And on Twitter, our handle is @CoreTV News NG. You can watch videos on YouTube at youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space and news. Now to the rest of the stories. The Senate has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate last weekend's clash between the Nigerian army and members of the Shiite group in Zaria, Kaduna State. The decision is part of resolutions taken at a closed session that lasted over 1 hour. The committee, which consists of chairmen and deputies of the committees on defense, police affairs, army, intelligence and national security, internal affairs, and 2 others, is to be led by Senator Ahmad Lawan.
Discuss the encounter between the Shiite religious sect and the Nigerian military in Kaduna State and resolved as follows. 1 is to issue a statement on the matter immediately. 2 is to direct our committees, direct the chairman and vice chairman of defense, intelligence, internal affairs, police, foreign affairs and judiciary to constitute an ad hoc committee headed by the chairman of defense to investigate the matter.
And hereby appeal for calm by all affected parties and the general public while the investigation is carried out. The Senate is seriously concerned and committed to ensuring that peace reigns in our dear country and will act in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at all times.
Nigerians have been reacting to last Saturday's clash in Zaria, Kaduna State, between the Nigerian army and the Shiite religious sect, which claimed some lives. The views expressed on our breakfast program, Core Digest, are as divergent and complex as ever. Here is a report put together by Okpayemi Aziz. The report is taken from our studios.
Nigeria can be classified as one of the most religious countries of the world, considering activities emanating from both the Muslims and Christian beliefs. But despite its religiosity, fundamental brigandage seems to be gradually taking center stage in the socio-political life of Nigeria, whereas religious intolerance is festering deeper and deeper into the body of the nation.
This is just an unfortunate incident that happened. And I don't think, and if it is well managed, it's something that should become a thing of the past as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and all religious organizations must also realize that in planning their programs, they should also consider other people's too.
The issue of tolerance, love, and coexistence, as preached by the holy books, the Bible and the Quran, are not the only ingredients that have been lost in some religious fundamentalists say radicalism threatens religious harmony.
When it comes to the issue where you see people pick up ammunitions, okay, to agitate, to drive home a point, or for any kind of belief whatsoever, the Christians can never, the world over, be associated with that.
For some of the viewers who phoned in on our breakfast flagship program, Core Digest, their views are of divergent opinion as the problems thrown up by religious fundamentalism needs to be tackled as soon as possible.
I don't see the reason soldiers shooting people that are protesting. It is very, very wrong. From the word protest, session, we will know what it means. Group of people walking slowly and they might cutting a traffic red law from the word procession. They use that word procession. You don't have any right to shoot a civilian, a soldier. Therefore, that means of nothing to people, not by killing them. Let us call evil here. What they did by shooting the innocent people, nobody can say that what they did is right.
The way they operate is that the moment they are in the community, they will not allow either a policeman or any authority to pass within their area, which is to my own opinion, is not right. That means if any one of them commit an offense, nobody can go there to arrest them. So I think that's what led to the incident in Zaria, because it's one of their policies that whenever they are in an area, no policeman or a uniform man can pass within their midst. So if they can undermine Nigerian army, so anything can happen in the nearest future.
While the skirmishes may have been brought under control, for now it is expedient that the security agencies work out strategies of nipping in the bud issues of religious fundamentalism before they rear their ugly heads.
A bill for an act to establish the Certification, Erosion, Flood and Ecological Control Agency has been read a second time in the House of Representatives. The bill seeks the establishment of the agency to cater for the ecological problem facing the nation. National Assembly correspondent Jamil Afegwa reports that this is the second time the bill will be presented in the lower house.
Controversy arose when the bill was considered. Hassan Omale, who sponsored the bill, argued that there was a need to establish the agency, bearing in mind the numerous hazards caused by environmental degradation across the country.
The reason for this establishment of this agency is as follows. It will be able to formulate policies and guidelines for the control and management of these environmental disasters in the country. It will conceive, plan and implement in accordance with the rules and regulations, and will be able to provide emergency relief and resettlement of all affected persons in the country.
Some of the lawmakers, however, felt that since the bill had been considered before, the report should just have come from the committee that considered it previously.
By law passed by this parliament, I share the concern of my colleague after sponsoring this bill. I don't want to let the House have this information. We could pass it. But at the committee level, I believe that committee should place this bill side by side with that act that was passed and advise this House whether we can still pass this bill for third reading.
The Green Wall is doing all concerning desertification. And in fact, it's had an international recognition and also a partnership. Erosion, flood control and whatnot is seized with Nigeria, for which billions of naira have been allocated. I feel heavy because the spirit of this bill is what we need to. But with all sense of legislative duties, are we going to say Parliament sit down again and reconsider what we've done with public hearing and all whatnot? What message are we going to tell the people?
Obina Chidoka, on his part, made a case for different agencies to handle various problems instead of one agency. But Osai Nicholas Osai felt otherwise.
What you want us to do is to take all the issues we have, from erosion control to gully, to desertification and put them into one agency. It's going to be very cumbersome. It won't even stand the test of time.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that his good intentions should not be thrown away. At the same time, we need to take these issues vis-a-vis at the committee stage. If this bill survives the committee stage, it's okay. But I believe that he has a good intention by bringing it to the floor of the House. But we must look at it critically in these two acts of the National Assembly. Act that establishes NESRA and the act that establishes NEMA. Because this bill seems to grab these two functions into one bill.
At the end, the lawmakers agreed that the bill should be referred to the House Committee on Environment and Habitat for further legislative action. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The lingering fuel scarcity in recent weeks has caused growing concerns in Nigeria. the availability of premium motor spirit has been on the low, with the discord between the federal government and the petroleum marketers still on. The plight of the general public is growing, with different opinions as to how the federal government should handle the affairs of the oil and gas sector. But should the federal government remove the fuel subsidy and concentrate on renovating our refineries? Akin Bakaya brings us the reactions of Nigerians and this report.
The mass protest on fuel subsidy removal in January 2012 still lingers afresh in the minds of Nigerians. The federal government under former President Goodluck Jonathan gave Nigerians what is termed as New Year present when the subsidy removal was implemented. Now, it is another administration. The Buhari-led government and the scarcity of premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, at this time is a major challenge. However, some Nigerians believe that the 2012 protest on subsidy removal was a huge mistake. Therefore, subsidy removal should take effect.
I think I would love to say categorically that one of the things that I regretted ever doing in my life is to have taken part in the protest in 2012 against the removal of fuel subsidy. Because during that period, most of us were ill-informed, and we never knew that it was a propaganda supported or promoted by some of the cabals who are benefiting from this fuel subsidy.
It can be removed because since they subside kerosene for 15 naira, yet we are still buying 4 liters of kerosene for 600 or 700. So where is the money of the subsidy going to? It's not touching the poor masses.
The management and refining of crude oil to some Nigerians is another issue. The expectations of Nigerians on the federal government to handle and revive the refineries is of utmost importance.
Government removing subsidy, I think, is good, but something must be put in place first. You must ensure that refineries are working fine. Sure, you get me. So when the refineries are working fine, the selling price of PMS or petrol will come down.
Some believe that if it is privatized, it will bring about variable price competition.
The removal of the subsidy, to my own opinion, I think it shouldn't be removed now.
As the fuel scarcity in Nigeria begins to linger on, questions as to regards federal government's position on removing the fuel subsidy arises. We hope that the federal government in its position will act towards the interest of the masses. The availability of fuel produce and the price is very important. Akin Obake reporting for CoreTV News, Lagos.
The federal government's decision to embark on the medium-term expenditure framework, which will lead to austere conditions in 2016, is generating positive responses from the Nigerian populace, as Nigerians are throwing weight behind the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. Still, they want proper implementation of this austerity measure policy. Our correspondent Sarah Ayeko, while roving the streets, sampled the opinion of some Nigerians.
The introduction of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, by the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma Udo, is driven towards substantial reductions in government spending pattern in order to effect a progressive change in the economy. Speaking to some Nigerians, they explain that the decision of the government is a right step in the right direction, only if these policies are implemented.
They should cut the cost, divert it on other area of the economy that can help boost the situation of the country.
I think the motive behind everything is very important, and as Nigerians we should be ready to pay sacrifices, some level of sacrifices. Though the pain will not be there forever, but we should be able to endure the pain for the minimum period of time, After the period of time, maybe after a few months, everything will fall back to position.
For some others, this austerity measure policy may stagger Nigerians financially.
I really do not think we need austerity measures currently, because if the government is reducing and taking away lots of benefits Nigerians are getting, the hardship, the adverse effect will come on us. So I advise the government of Muhammadu Buhari and of course Nigeria in general that we do not need austerity measure currently.
Cutting the expenditure by next year, when we are budgeting of let's say 10 million, we cut it to the 5 million. To use that 5 million to what we want them to do, they cannot do it. They divert them to their own pockets. And when they tell them to go and pay the workers 100,000 minimum wage, they will say they cannot get the money to pay. Even all the governors.
Although the MTEF proposal is silent on the source of funding of the proposed budget in 2016, it has also failed to explain how government would operate if the assumptions increases or fall short of its projections. Nigerians can only hope that the government knows what it is doing to ensure a steady growth in the economy. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
In view of the continuous dwindling economy, Plateau State lawmakers have paid an unscheduled visit to some local government areas with a view to check meeting wastage. Such visit, which is the second, called on the chairman to look for ways of generating revenue from the local government areas. Here is the report.
The management committee chairman that were approved by the Plateau State House of Assembly has been accused of lacking administrative capacity in generating revenue. This has led the state lawmakers into paying visits to some of them in an attempt to block wastage and advise them on how to generate revenues from their locality.
Every month, you need to furnish the house, the committee, let us know what is improving, because you have to sit down with your team. Something must work now. This is a measure from stories that are becoming reality.
In their response, the management committee chairman identified insecurity as the reason economic activities are yet to pick up. They also called on the State House of Assembly to look into the tax law at the local government level for possible amendments or repealed to conform with the current economic reality in the country.
It's also very productive for us to also know that there is a new change in the House of Assembly to look at things really in the interest of the people.
With the little resources we are getting, if we will be able to, instead of starting new projects, it will be better for us to complete the ones that were not completed.
The chairman were recently given 2 months extension in office, and residents are eager to see what next after the expiration of the extended period.
We'll take another break now. When we come back, we'll bring you reports from outside Nigeria and from the world of sports. Do join us again.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
Whenever you recharge your Airtel line, you could win a trip to Dubai for yourself and your family members or closest pals. Win one of 60 trips for 4 to Dubai in the Airtel Red Hot promo. Now that's a treat for 240 people. You could also be one of the 60 instant millionaires. Win smartphones and airtime. Everyone is a winner. Keep recharging to win in the Airtel Red Hot promo with Emirates Holidays.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. It's still Core TV Primetime News on Core TV News. We now move to reports from outside Nigeria. The Syrian National Coalition, SNC, says the opposition would not agree to a ceasefire unless Bashar al-Assad signs an agreement to step down as president of Syria. Today's comments come just as the United States and Russia prepare for the next Syrian peace talks in New York on Friday. Addressing journalists today, SNC's Vice President Nagm Al-Gadri pointed out that the United States and Russia should get rid of the government, which is targeting civilians in Syria every day. It would be recalled that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow on Tuesday and agreed to hold a peace process on Syria in New York on Friday. A mass prisoner exchange is underway between Houthi fighters and government forces in Yemen amid unsponsored talks to end the fighting in the Arabian Peninsula country. The swap took place a day after the truce came into force to halt fighting in 9 months of civil war between the Iran-allied Houthis based in Yemen's north and Arab coalition-backed fighters loyal to President Abdurabu Mansour Hadi. However, expectations for a deal at the peace talks in Switzerland are low, as both sides seem to be failing to honor a week-long ceasefire. There were reports on Wednesday of heavy fighting between pro-government forces and Houthis around the city of Taiz in central Yemen. The UN envoy to Yemen, Khalid al-Yamani, disclosed that government forces would respect the ceasefire even in case of violations from the Houthi side. And now to sports.
Power style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball, storming, Puyol with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead.
Embattled president of football governing body FIFA, Sepp Blatter, has expressed his desire to present the Ballon d'Or trophy to its winner come January 11, 2016. Blatter hopes that his appearance before the FIFA Ethics Committee on Thursday, December the 17th, would see his suspension lifted or at the very least not extended. 79-year-old Blatter's suspension ends on January the 5th, 2016, with the gala event for the trophy set to take place on January 11 in Zurich. Barcelona duo Lionel Messi and Neymar, along with Real Madrid's Cristiano Ronaldo, are the 3 finalists for the 2015 Ballon d'Or, and the Swiss wants to be there to hand out the prestigious award. Now, to end the news, we'll take another look at the top stories. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari promises to uphold tenet of democracy and good governance as ECOWAS summit opens in Abuja. In the course of the program, we told you that the appeal court has upheld Rivers Governorship Election Tribunal judgment, sacking Nyesom Wike and ordering a rerun. And finally, we told you that the embattled Masab leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has been discharged and acquitted by an Abuja magistrate court. That makes it a wrap on CoreTV Primetime News tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Join us in our subsequent bulletins for more reports. My name is Abose Diomowi, and on behalf of the crew, do enjoy the rest of your evening.